What is up, YouTube? So today what I got in store for you is a gear review segment of a Sirui monopod. Let's get into this review, see its key features, what it comes with, what to expect when buying one, and at the price point you get it at, what it's comparable to, and whether or not it's going to be right for you. Let's get into this review. So first things first, I'll list some of the brands of monopods that are available out there in the market somewhere on the screen for you, so that way you could look at some of the key ones. But a lot of people are comparing this to the Gitzo monopod, and the reason for that is its structure and its layout and stuff. Overall, this is a fully carbon fiber monopod. It also has some key aluminum components. So let's start from the top down. So you got an aluminum head here. It's all aluminum in this area. Carbon fiber. You got a foam grip. You also have these rubber adjustment areas that allow you to adjust the monopod. Same thing all the way down. And then also you have the rubber crutch tip. And then you have the cool feature about this monopod is you have a retractable spike at the bottom. Okay. And that's going to lead me into an issue when purchasing this monopod. Okay. I'll get into that a little bit later. So this is the P-326 monopod. It comes with a little aluminum clip here to clip onto your gear or what have you. It has a compass. I'm not sure why they include a compass. I mean, these are pretty cheap. You know, it's all plastic and stuff. You really can't level it out, and it really doesn't do much. Okay, so I mean, I'm turning it sideways here, and it's not pointing north. I mean, as I'm moving it, it wants to point north, but it's kind of rotating way too much in that cup. Maybe you have to like take it off or something. I don't know. I think that's just weird. It came with the strap and an aluminum housing holder right here that allows it to do 360-degree motion. Okay. And then you have your different areas like for attaching your cameras. So this unscrews. Okay. So if you have your quarter 20 and say you wanted to run a 3/8, you could screw it up like that, mount your stuff, and then tighten it down. And then once your camera or whatever tightens down onto these threads, it will tighten all this up because it's going to be pushing down on it. Okay, so you could do that, or you could unscrew this all the way. It'll fall out. So this is what it looks like. Okay, stud sticking out. Pretty cool design. You could also flip-flop it like that if you just want the 3/8 to stick up, and then screw this all the way down. The same way you took it off. Okay, so you could do that. If you look on top of this head, it has a slick, it's supposed to be like a grip pad, but it's like a hard plastic with texture on it, so it's not too grippy. I see a problem with that because you mount your camera, and as we all know, without having a grippy pad, they tend to loosen up over time. And then you have your hex cut out there, so that way it corresponds with the hex area here, so you could tighten it without using tools. Okay, you get this little recess set up here, so that way this housing for the strap could align in. Okay, it only goes one way. As you can see, it folds in if it goes the wrong way, so you have to run it this way, so there's plenty of clearance in there. Honestly, I don't use a strap, so that's kind of something that I wouldn't care about. I'd probably cut it off if I wasn't going to sell this. And I'll get into that, the reason why I'm going to sell this and get rid of it. You also have aluminum all the way down. It's aluminum insert, so it's fully threaded. And then it's, well, it's not molded, but it's glued onto your carbon fiber shaft. And also this grip is glued down, okay? There's no movement here, okay? And then, of course, each segment extends all the way out. You don't have any type of weave on this carbon fiber. It's more of long strands that are slowly curved around the cylindrical or the arch of this face, okay? And then of course you get to the bottom one, and all this carbon fiber is really thick stuff, so it's not real thin and flimsy. Like, I cannot flex it at all. But even to the lowest or the smallest pole that you have here, these extend about maybe 16 inches or so. I mean, you could get the full specs. I'll post them somewhere on the screen for the total lengths and stuff. But this carbon fiber here, as you can see, it's probably about ½ inch thick in diameter. If I were to guess, I don't have my calipers on me right now. Okay, so that's a little brief overview of it. Now let's get into the nitty gritty, okay? So some of the other monopods, like the aluminum ones, you're gonna be at a price point around anywhere from like $30 range all the way up to about $60, $70 range. Your carbon fiber stuff that's worth purchasing is gonna be around that $50 range all the way up to like $300, $400, depending on the brand. But like I said, Sirui is a great brand for the price point that it comes in at, and it's highly recommended by a lot of people due to its great quality and its value. Like, you really can't beat it, you know. I recommend looking on eBay to get good deals on this type of equipment, because they usually have bids on stuff like this if you could hold out. Also, I recommend carbon fiber over aluminum all the time due to its rigidity. It's real rigid and lightweight. And then you could also get it in a real compact size typically, because, you know, you could run a smaller limb like this, whereas aluminum, a smaller limb like this may collapse. So they could stack up all these layers and keep going with this thing and make it real strong. But like I said, aluminum, once you get to the tinier areas, like smaller than this, you know, they start flexing a lot, and I don't know, it's just not worth it. It's just also aluminum, in order for them to get the smaller sticks rigid, they need to run a thicker gauge, which adds extra weight to the product as well. Okay, so why would you choose this model, the P-326, over some of the other models? And the reason for it is how many telescoping legs it has to give you the height that you want, okay? When looking at the Sirui model monopod, one thing I recommend is you buying an older generation, okay? And here's 2 reasons why you want to buy the older generation like I did. Well, I could give you 3, one being the price, okay? Price would be cheaper on a used one, but that's not the main reasons, okay? So one of the reasons is this foam grip, okay? Sirui, because I had them both. I had the new version and this older version. So the Sirui's stamped a little deeper in the older version, but the main reason is this grip. I cannot twist it. The new version, the adhesive was only down at the bottom. So this whole thing would rotate in my hand, and that was a bad experience for me. It just felt weird that every time I would grip it, just the weight allowed it to rotate, okay? And one of the biggest reasons why you should buy the older generation is this. So when extending these out, people say that versus like the Gitzo and stuff, these have a lot more flex, okay? And this one has virtually no flex in it at all, even when extended fully out. And I'll show you why. So when taking off this collar, okay, you slide it all the way down and you slide this out, okay? All your stuff will come out. You want to make sure that you remember to put these on in the same fashion that they were taken out and how everything aligns, because if you don't, what ends up happening is in this tube here, there's a seam. So if you look in here, there's a little seam where the carbon fibers rolled and adhered, and you want that seam to go in between these little leaves here that hold it. But when taking these two leaves apart, you get little indentations, one on each side. This really doesn't matter, this little notch. That's the reason for it. There's a little stop on this leaf so you know which one goes where. And they're also numbered. This is number 3 and this is number 4. So they're properly sized for this, okay? So keep that in mind. That notch has to go with this notch. If not, this will not go flat. If you put it on the wrong side, you'll have a little lip up here and you'll never get it into your tube. Okay? So the reason why I'm telling you to buy the older generation is because of these leaves. So the newer one, I should have kept it just to do this review, but when you have the newer generation, it's a little bit nicer because the leaf is all one unit. So it's 2 of these leaves together with a cap on it. The issue I found with it is they're shorter. So the leaf is about that much shorter on the new one. So if you cut that off, and what that does is when it's fully extended out, that's why they recommend to leave a little bit in, so that way it removes that flex. Well, when it's fully extended out, since you have that much less, it's going to be up here, right? And that allows it to pivot. By having more surface area extended down, that compensates for that movement up in here. So if you buy the new one, they recommend sliding it up a little bit so you don't have that torsion in each leaf, especially when fully extended. But with this older design, you could have it fully extended and you won't get that because of this leaf being further down. And also, if the leaf's not long enough, what ends up happening is you get a gap there. So that allows for rotation in this tube. So you'll get this movement, okay? And then they recommend to slide it up so you don't get this movement, because this load is distributed higher up on this tube to prevent that movement from happening. And then the bottom load is distributed on the collar that you tighten down, okay? But like I said, this newer one, you could run fully extended and you get minimal, I mean, very little movement in there. So that's why I recommend getting the older generation. So let's put this back together real quick. So this leaf goes here. Let me find where it lines up. There you go. And this leaf goes here. Okay. That's wrong. Okay. You see that gap? This leaf needs to be rotated and lifted up to the top, so that way they're both parallel, or they're both even. Like I said, the new one has a cap on it. Some of the leaves on this one have a plug, like that allow it to plug the hole on this model, but you want to make sure that that little thing is lined up with this groove or this groove. Okay, so let me get that lined up. Oh, yeah, I got the little thing on it. So So you rotate it until it goes in. Once it goes in, it allows you to slide it up, and then you tighten it down. This is greasy. It's some real thick grease, so that way it's smooth when rotating this. So make sure you don't get that on your hands, because it's water will not take it off. You gotta wipe it off. So there you go. Okay, so that's why you want to buy the original one. Okay, so let's extend these out. All of them extend to the same length. Okay. I mean, it's all the same thing. But the reason why, so this would also make a good walking stick. I mean, you extend the little tip out all the way, and it won't damage the rubber. Okay. So the reason why I don't like this walking stick or this monopod is for two reasons. This is pretty fat. I mean, I wish they went with this size limb and not necessarily up to this size. But also, when mounting a camera, you know, I told you that it's going to unspin, especially if you're using this as a walking stick as well. But also, I cannot mount this to a tripod. And this is my biggest issue. This is the reason why I wanted the monopod, was to mount it to my tripod. If I wanted to, you know, do a tripod, monopod type thing. But this one doesn't. It requires a tripod that has a cup right here to hold the base, and then they pivot. I wanted a threaded version, so that way I could just thread it down. So given this whole mechanism here, it won't allow you to mount that tripod to it. I thought maybe you could take off the foot and then be able to screw it onto a tripod, but that's not the case. Okay, I was gonna customize this, but not for the price point that it comes in at. Okay, so if you're lucky, you could buy a brand new one for about $80, but typically these things run you about 100 to 120, depending on who you buy them from. Okay, this one I got on a good deal, so I'm not tripping too much. And this one's actually already sold, and that's what leads me into why I'm selling it, because I cannot run this on a tripod. I wanted the monopod versus the selfie stick, so that way I could get higher shots, because I noticed when I screw the selfie stick onto a tripod like this, right, it's too short. It's about up to about my chest in height, whereas this one will go about even with my eyes, and that allows for overhead shots without doing too much in a compact size. So that's my biggest thing. Also, the reason why I chose carbon fiber over aluminum is I don't have to worry about it bending. So if I put this in my bag, I don't have to worry about it bending. If I use this as a walking stick, I don't have to worry about it bending. Okay. So that's basically my only gripe about this thing, is I can't mount it to a tripod like I wanted to. But I mean, there's plenty of them out there that you can, and there's also plenty of them out there that you can't. So keeping that in consideration, this is a great monopod, and I highly recommend it. If you do end up not finding this older generation and you find the new one, just make sure when you extend the leg out, slide it in that much and then tighten it. Each limb, you want to do that, so that way it locks them all in solid. Okay. I mean, but that's typical with everything at a budget price. You get these little tiny nuances that you want to make sure you clarify and actually know what you're getting into before purchasing it. So that's why I made this video, for you guys to see it and allow you to determine if this is going to work for you. If you like this video, like always, give it a thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it. If you want to see content like this and other content I'll be posting in the near future, definitely consider subscribing. Until next time, I'll see y'all on the next one.